1987, Mitsubishi Motors continued its support of the major British production championship races. The two Starions faced stern opposition from the Ford Sierra Cosworths. Colin, long-time supporter of Mitsubishi Motors, was joined by Chris Saunders in car number 19. It was a daunting prospect with so many of the new Fords on the grid, and the new wide-bodied Starion to come later in the season with still a lot of development work on that car to be done. Nevertheless, from the word go, Colin was in and among the action. The start at Snetterton, and the Cosworths dominate the early part of the race. Blower moves up to 4th place. And soon it's a question of waiting and seeing whether or not the brakes of the new Fords will stand the pace. Blower proceeded to drive at the limit throughout the race, as he continued to do during the season. The Fords were fast but brittle in these early stages. Nevertheless, they were proving a point, and the Starion was having to be driven at the limit to stay with them. Colin was equal to the task, however, hanging on to the Fords and making them work. Aside from his power disadvantage, there was another problem too for car number 5. Petrol from the overflow was going on to the rear tyre, making the car difficult to handle. Having provided stern opposition, Blower began to drop back. Handicapped as he was, however, it was a remarkable performance by the Starion. There may not have been a lot of development potential left in the earlier car, but driving skill and the superb aerodynamics and road holding of the car made it still a prospect. At Silverstone, Peter Beaumont, Managing Director of Mitsubishi Motors, makes a presentation to Colin Blower.
Well, Colin, it gives me great pleasure on behalf of Mitsubishi Motors Corporation, who've asked me to present you with this award, the Spirit of Competition Award, and it's presented by Mitsubishi International Business Division, who are responsible for the export of all Mitsubishi cars throughout the world. And it's the only award of its type for track racing. And I congratulate you, and Mitsubishi are delighted with your performance last year, and we expect the same super performance this year. Thanks a lot.
I'm proud to receive it, Peter, and I'd like to assure Mitsubishi of my continued maximum effort, and nothing would please me more than to see Mitsubishi continue to win.
If maximum effort was the name of the game in 1987, Colin Blower certainly provided it in abundance. Here at Silverstone, the straights and the wide open spaces were to make things even more difficult for Colin Blower to maintain his progress in among the ever-increasing competitive Cosworths. A superb start, however, and 3 or 4 runners sneak by before they come into Copse Corner. If the Sierra Cosworth was basically homologated with competition in mind, the same could be said of the M3 BMW. Already by this stage of the season, the homologation had been updated to make the car even more competitive. Nevertheless, Blower was able to get ahead of the 4-cylinder twin-overhead camshaft 16-valve Formula 2 engine car. The Mitsubishi was able to get ahead and stay ahead of the German challenge. At Beckett's, with distance between himself and the opposition, he came up towards the checkered flag. Not a winner, but well in touch with the Cosworths. A win in the 24-hour race at Snetterton has long been something that Colin Blower and Mitsubishi have tried hard to obtain. The Will-Hire 24-hour race provides a unique test of speed and endurance. Here perhaps the Cosworth's brittle engines may let them down. Mercedes, Volkswagen are also represented in a very compact but competitive field. And as the weather improves, both the Mitsubishi Starions of Colin and of the second car, Chris Saunders, begin to move upwards and ever towards the front of the field. The signalling lights on the top of the car indicate that the night is drawing in. Drawing onwards too, in and among the other competitors, is the Starion challenge for supremacy. Tiff Dell waits to take over the car at the scheduled pit stops. So far, so good for Mitsubishi. BF Goodrich tyres are checked, fuel goes in, and the car is checked over prior to the departure of a fresh driver. Still, the Starion continues to progress, as does the second car of Saunders. Sometimes the traffic can be annoying. As night falls, the Starions pull towards the lead of the 24-hour race at Snetterton. All seems well on their challenge for honours here. Headlights on, and the cars are in first and second places. Minor problems, however, were to intervene during the night. Primarily, a brake pad and a caliper became welded together with the excessive heat of the circuit. Luck always plays its part in motorsport. The hard-won lead was whittled away. Still, Blower race on, determined to provide a good finishing place for Mitsubishi. By dawn, the cars were climbing their way back up the leaderboard. But once again, as the heat of the morning crept upon us, there were more problems for the Starions at Snetterton. Just when their efforts seemed to be about to be crowned with reward, it was an exhaust problem that slowed both cars. Few of the Fords were left, but by now they were back in the lead. It was infuriating for the teams to have two comparatively healthy cars slowed by minor problems. Nevertheless, the tired mechanics and drivers coped manfully with the problems of the heat of the day, just as they had all through the night and at the start before. Back into the race goes the Saunders car. And Blower, too, is pushing on towards that checkered flag after 24 hours, with both cars finishing. At Brands Hatch, the new wide-bodied Starion made its debut. At the start of a new intensive development program, Colin tells us about the difference between this car and the one he's been used to driving.
We're hoping with the introduction of the new wide-bodied Starion that this will give us quite an edge to our competitiveness. As you can see, the much wider wheel arches, housing much larger wheels, both front and rear, make the car look much more meatier and give it quite a low squat stance. Now, this is giving us considerably more rubber on the road, and quite honestly, the difference when you actually turn into the corners is quite phenomenal. The car is noted for its very high quality of handling and balance, and this latest rear tyre really just adds to that. The car feels superb to drive. It really is magnificent. Now the front wheels, and again 16-inch diameter, they have 205 by 55 VR16 tyres fitted. Now the car just has a very slight tendency to gentle understeer, and the car can easily be then made to have just a very gentle power oversteer. So really the handling characteristics are very, very neutral. As you can see by comparing the old type of wheel, which is here, last year's car, compared to the new ones, the difference is quite marked.
The Sierras, with a better part of a season's development now under their belt, get away at the start. But already Colin Blower is able to demonstrate the potential of the new wide-bodied car. The twists and turns of the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch are not the ideal place to show on. This time, however, he doesn't need long to get used to the different handling. An enthralling battle develops between him and number 11 Ford Sierra Cosworth, with Dave Morgan at the wheel. Lap after lap, these two fight it out together. Through clearways and onto the straight, past the pits once more. And it appears that the Starion has got the legs of the Ford at last. As Rob Gravitt races on in the lead, Morgan muscles his way through past the Starion, right on the limit. And Blower tries to find a way through. In spite of this moment, however, there's just not room to do it. They race to the flag, nose and tail. The Mitsubishi, however, has proved already that it's definitely going to be a strong contender in the latter part of the season. Oulton Park in August, and the Mike Smith Rob Gravitt show is on the road once again at the head of the field. Delayed after problems in practice, Blower has a lot of traffic to work his way through. Oulton has become even more difficult. That's been added to the circuit after the work during the winter. Ahead of Mercedes and BMW, Blower is still fighting his way up through the field. Saunders too is going well, dealing here with Mercedes and Escort alike. A lonely race under the Eagle Star Bridge. And damage to the front spoiler is delaying the car, causing minor handling problems. Nevertheless, the road holding of the new wide-bodied car doesn't get caught in this sort of action. Blower races on, determined to prove his point round one of the most difficult circuits in the country. All too soon, however, we're into the final stages of the race at Oulton. The Sierras have tried. A close battle with Mike Smith locking up his brakes there in the final stages sees once again a Ford win. But not before Colin Blower and the new Starion have shown conclusively that the car is well and truly on the pace. The road holding superb, the aerodynamics right, and certainly a chance of success in the future very much on the cards. Out of Knickerbrook, up Clay Hill, and towards the start and finish. Under the bridge and the checkered flag, with a good position for the Starion. The final round of the UNIROYAL Production Saloon Car Championship is the 500 kilometers at Brands Hatch. A superb September day, and the crowd in its thousands flocks to see whether or not the Fords are going to be beaten. A pace car start with a crowded field behind, still dominated on the front rows by the Sierras. But this again is a test of endurance as well as speed. Colin Blower is partnered once again by Tiffany Dell, who starts the race, while Saunders has John Hugenholtz alongside him in car number 19. Round Druids and out onto the far side of the circuit. As the Sierras engage in close combat drill, there is Tiffany Dell in a watching brief behind them. A long way to go. And the Saunders car too is well up among the field. As the race wears on, it becomes obvious that this really is a test of endurance. Throughout the afternoon, both of the Starions are well placed. Tiffany Dell is driving on the limit, a limit that some people exceed. So, with BMWs and Fords falling by the wayside, all seems set for a chance for victory here at Brands. They're hurling the Mitsubishis round the 2.6-mile circuit here at Brands, right on the limit, as the time for the inevitable pit stops, so much a part of an endurance race, draws ever closer. Traffic, too, presents its problems once again, with slower cars impeding on line. In comes Needell to hand over to Colin Blower. The mechanics set to work to inspect the tyres and brake pads. No chances are being taken with further brake problems, such as happened at Snetterton. Blower, helmet on, comes out for his stint in the car. His co-driver straps him in. Now Mitsubishi are really in with a chance for victory. Already some of the Sierra Cosworths are falling by the wayside, and Karen Hall asked Tiffany Dell if he was satisfied with the way the car was going.
Perfectly, yes. I mean, it's just running around on rails and just down on power, unfortunately, compared with the Sierras.
So you're confident of a good position by the end of the afternoon?
Well, yeah, we can break a few more Cosworths, but very much so.
A pace car situation, and the field closes up. The Mitsubishi is gaining ground as the Fords now begin to slow under the strain of 500 kilometers of racing. Colin Blower redoubles his efforts at the wheel of number 5 to close that gap. Past the pits once more in an effort to close on the limping Sierras at the head of the field. Gravitt's car has a problem and is slowing. Damage to the front of the Saunders car has slowed that, unfortunately. But Blower is in second place. He's determined to close on the leading car. Eventually, time runs out for Colin Blower. The leader limps to the line. Mitsubishi finished second in the 500 kilometers at Brands Hatch. With their sights set high, however, 1988 could be very different. A new car to come, and Mitsubishi head towards victory in 1988.